A massive thank you to Alex, Ferdhouse, Brian, Pranithraj and Ethan for subscribing to the channel. If you want to be featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 20 of Season 3 of the F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Yes, 3 races to go of Season 3 from this series, and of course, if you missed out on the last video from Brazil, I would highly recommend going, from the USA even, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Today though, we're here in Mexico City, of course, a track that has historically done quite well for us in past Formula 1 games, and fingers crossed we can try and continue on that run of form this weekend. Of course, I just want to say as well a massive thank you to all of you for the insane and continued support on the channel at the moment. You know, we're getting very close at the time we're recording to 90,000 subscribers. We might hit 90k by the time this video goes live, so I cannot thank you guys enough for the ever and continued support on the channel. But yeah, championship-wise, things are really heating up. 39 points between ourselves and Valtteri Bottas as we head towards Mexico this weekend. But as you would have just seen by the performance chart, 4 upgrades we brought last time out to COTA, and they have really worked wonders. Unless McLaren are bringing upgrades this weekend, we have now got a clear-cut advantage at the top of the field. So we just got to try and maintain this momentum into the final few races. We've still got to hope for a miracle against Valtteri Bottas, but we'll see what we can do, even if it just means we can try and recover some points as well in the Constructors' Championship before Hamilton retires from Formula 1. These final 3 races are gonna get spicy. Let's get into it though. Mexican GP time. Well, here we are then, back in Mexico City, of course. Yeah, like I said, historically this has been a track that has often created quite crazy races, but so far in F1 22 has actually suited me quite nicely. Of course, won the race in the Haas RTG not too long ago, right at the end of Season 1. I've had some pretty good runs of form, I think, as well, in the My Team Career Mode, if I remember correctly, so fingers crossed that can continue this weekend. Whether the advantage we've got over the rest of the field will be similar to what we had at COTA, that might be quite nice for us in the driving seat. Might not make the best content in the world, but of course, yeah, Bottas has still got an almost 40-point lead with 3 races and a sprint to go this season, so it's not going to be easy. We're still relying on a bit of a miracle. Right in the final corner, though, we are just about going to clutch up a purple score to start the weekend. A promising start. Here we go then, the proper question of the weekend. We ask it every single time, but how ridiculous is the qualifying sim run going to be at the final corner? It reckons a 1:14.2. How far off that will we be? You can see already 2 tenths down, 3 tenths down. This is a fast car, remember, down the straights. 4 tenths down by the time we get to turn 1. And of course the AI is still ridiculously OP through the corners as well. Yeah, we'll probably be a good 2.5 down at the end of this, at least. I basically just feature these laps each week for the meme, to be honest, because it is just funny how badly calculated they are. But at the final corner, we're not far off with our prediction of 1.5 seconds down. It is going to be 1.5 seconds. Still fastest so far in free practice, but yeah, let's get into qualifying then. We're going to be starting P22 according to that. Formula 1 is finally back in 2022, and now you can rep your favourite teams. Of course, using the F1 store, every team now has merch lineups available, whether you're an Aston Martin fan, a Williams fan, Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, the choice is completely up to you. But yeah, check out the F1 merch store down below for all the official releases from all of the teams. And of course, as always, if you use our links as well, you massively help support the channel. So yeah, give it a look and see if there's anything you like. Well, qualifying day from Mexico City, and often there's actually a bit more strategy at play around this venue, I find. We made it through Q1 quite easily on a set of mediums, but we need to try and save as many sets of soft compound tyres as possible, because generally, I find the hard tyres don't work around this circuit. I prefer to go soft, medium, medium, or soft, medium, soft, depending on what tyres we've got left. So if we can make it out of Q2 on just the one run, that would be incredibly helpful and potentially open us up a bit more strategy in the race. It is not often you have to think of these sort of big picture things on F1 22. It's definitely the case I find around this circuit. Lando Norris sets the pace immediately in his Alpine, but that is not a good representative based on the times we've seen so far this weekend. Struggling a little bit with front locking as well around this venue, but as we head through the stadium section, this lap's felt pretty tidy for the most part. There's just so much control now in this car. As at the final corner will go, shortest run back up towards the line. Bottas 15-1, and we'll bounce back with a 14-6. That should immediately be us safely into Q3. There we go then, Q2 results done and dusted, and both Lewis Hamilton and myself make it through on just one run there, but McLaren have got some serious issues. Ferrari, Mercedes and Red Bull all look to be up to speed this weekend, with the exception, of course, of Nicholas Latifi. But yeah, we've got a fair chance at pole position this weekend. That 14-2 isn't looking so unrealistic now, but yeah, on a Friday morning and a Saturday afternoon are two very different things in the world of Formula 1. We've got the time to do at least 2 runs if we need to, but hopefully we might just make it through on 1, but I'm probably going to take a second run just in case, as it's Q3. Right, well, I may have got a bit distracted watching other cars go for their qualifying runs, so we're going to have to decide if this lap isn't good enough. We're going to have to bail out of it and go again later on in the session. But yeah, we have got, like I said, the time to do 2 runs. Let's just wait and see what we can do with this first one. At the final corner, up over the line. We're going to need some sweat mode, but of course we've got a long old run back down towards turn 1 before we need to do anything like that. Every other car back into the pit lane, so we do have free track space as well, because we're definitely lacking some top end speed, but we more than make up for it in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Well, this lap has felt pretty tidy up to now, so we are going to try and finish it off unless I do something stupid all through the stadium section. Just like that. Just ran a little bit deep in through the stadium. Yeah, we're going to abandon that one then. We will go again. It probably still would have been quite a competitive time, to be fair, up towards the line. Does the time get removed? I don't know if it did. That might still have counted, so we might have a delta to go up against. But let's get ready then. One final run here from Mexico. Right, everyone on their final laps here are qualifying then. Hamilton has set the pace on a 1:14.6 at the moment. Bottas just half a tenth away though. The Flying Finn is absolutely ringing everything he possibly can at that McLaren still. Of course, he only has to finish P3 in order to remain in Grand Prix, but I'm sure he'll want to do just a little bit better than that. As at the final corner, then we're going to have to really try and nail this lap now. Hamilton might improve, try to take back-to-back pole positions, but as long as we join them on the front row, that is the absolute priority here in Mexico City. Let's really focus. Through that middle sector of the circuit, but now we're just going to try and keep it clean and tidy through the last couple of turns. Then much tidier into there. We made a bit of a mistake at the start of sector 2 through the hairpin. Since then the lap's felt pretty good as one more corner to go up towards start finish line. Where is this going to be on the grid? Here in Mexico, it's going to be pole position here at the Mexico GP. That's, I think, the second time this year we've got pole after all the way back in Monaco. Well, there we go, pole position here in Mexico, exactly what we need late on in the season there. But Hamilton P2 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who finishes 2-1-2 off the pole time there. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Perez, Zhou Guanyu, Russell, Ricciardo, Norris will round out our top 10. Like I said, all we can really do is just keep winning in these final 3 Grand Prix, but that is easier said than done. A huge run down towards turn 1 here in Mexico. We need to get a good start. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Welcome to Mexico City, the most popular city in North America, and home, of course, to the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd as usual here at one of the shortest circuits on the Formula One calendar. And who, I wonder, will they be cheering on the top step of today's podium? The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour. And providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right and the remaining 7 going to the left. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Perez, Joe, Russell, Ricciardo and Lando Norris, Stroll, Gasly, Alex Albon and Mick Schumacher, Tsunoda, Latifi, Daniel Tigton and Esteban Ocon, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, Drugovich and Robert Schwartzman. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Only 3 races left. You still have a chance at the title, but going to need some special performances. See what you can do, mate.
Mark is nailing these messages late on in the year there. That is spot on from our race engineer. It is going to be difficult, but we're going to try and give it our best shot as the team reckons soft medium is doable here. So we'll wait and see about that one. I'm not going to hold my breath, but if they reckon it's doable, then we might try it. We might then bolt on a fresh set of softs late on in the day. But yeah, looking forward to this one though here from Mexico. Sadly can't change the brake pressure. Still struggling a bit with front locking. There's one last chassis upgrade I think that kind of messes up the way the brakes feel on F1 22. It was the same thing on F1 2021 and I think F1 2020 to be honest with you as well. But the second front row lockout in a row. However, it looks like I am on an alternate strategy to everyone else. They're all on mediums behind me, so this could get quite nervous. It should mean we get a better start on the rundown towards turn 1, but we're going to be under a lot of pressure. We've got to make sure we bunch up the field then as we head out of the final corner. Yeah, Lando Norris, Valtteri Bottas even, and Lewis Hamilton right behind us, ready on the grid. Of course, the former Mercedes duo, neither of them at that team anymore, but both of them, well, Hamilton hasn't quite had the same success, but Bottas certainly is sharing a lot of success with his new McLaren team. Oh, that's not helpful. Just waiting on, I think it is Dan Tictum at the rear of the field, but we need to get a good getaway here. We have to run on these opening couple of laps there. Be careful around Hamilton, of course, because we need him finishing P2. We've just got to absolutely go for it off the start. Waiting on those 5 red lights then here in Mexico. Try and build up the revs nice and easy. A bit too many. Lights out and away we go. And we've got off to not a brilliant start there, but we've covered off Bottas as we head down towards turn 1. And we're trying to get in the wheel tracks of Hamilton, but no, he's giving Verstappen the DRS there. The Dutchman straight down around the outside in towards the first corner there. Sergio Perez, homeboy, up the inside as well. The Red Bulls come together, and that has been a bit of a chaotic start. There was a tiny bit of contact between myself and Bottas as well out of the first corner, but now you can just see Sergio Perez, of course, Verstappen locked into a battle for P2 in the championship. Oh, a lot of moving around in the braking zone, and we're just going to have to take it careful around the outside of the Mexican, though. Of course, home Grand Prix for him. I'm sure he'd love a good result, but Bottas has gone backwards. We've gone backwards as well, though, off the start of the Mexico GP here. Max Verstappen straight up into P2. Haven't seen the fire from the Dutchman since pretty much before the summer break there, as he gets very, very squirrely through the middle sector. Let's try and head through, keep the car nicely tucked on those curbs rather than over them. Sergio Perez there struggling a little bit, of course. Now we're getting these soft tyres up to temperature. We've got to really get our elbows out early on in this race, but I am still nervous about the lack of top-end speed there. Everyone else has been quicker than us through the speed trap so far this weekend, so will we be able to get a run on Max Verstappen? Struggling just a little bit to put the power down as Hamilton, for the second weekend in a row, will lead at the end of the opening lap here. But have we got any top-end speed over Max Verstappen? The answer is not really at all there. Still pretty much a half a second back, and when we close off the ERS, he just pulls away towards the end of the front straight there. So yeah, really not a brilliant start for us. Bottas, though, down to 6th at the very best, though. So hopefully we're going to take good points out of him either way, as he's now got Zhou Guanyu behind him. One of the Alpha Taurus into the pit lane. No idea whether that's Sonoda or Oscar Piastri. Oh, big wobble there, but again, luckily, still fairly fresh soft tyres, giving us the grip we need. Oh, thanks, Max. Thanks for that one, buddy. Just sent himself to the shadow round. Haven't seen that very often from the Dutchman. Not one for making many mistakes in the world of Formula 1, apart from not being able to back out of turn 2 at Brazil. But there we go, up into P2 then of the Grand Prix once more. New fastest lap of the day. Like I said, though, we need to be quicker than Lewis Hamilton quite comfortably early on in this GP, as now Bottas will probably be in hot pursuit of those Red Bulls, as well as Charles Leclerc, of course, world champion all the way back in season 1 of this career mode. That feels like a long time ago now, but we've got to try and take time out of Hamilton, but also just nurse these tyres. I haven't decided yet whether we're sticking to the one stop, but either way, we need to push. But it certainly doesn't look like early on we've got the huge edge that we did like at Kota last weekend. The AI, although they're not quite sticking with Lewis and I, of course that was mainly because of Max Verstappen's huge lockup and then slowed everyone up through the stadium section. However, Hamilton and I are running very, very different downforce configurations here. Lewis opted to be much quicker through Sector 1. He's been the fastest car through there pretty much all weekend long. The Sector 2 and Sector 3, we are pretty much untouchable, and by the looks of it early on this weekend, it seems to have been the right choice for us, as we are now going to get the DRS on our teammate. Of course, just 3 races left for Lewis Hamilton in Formula 1. It's a scary thing to think about, of course, because whenever I see that in the F1 game, I imagine it's not going to be long before it happens in real life either. Hamilton still reckons he's got a few years left in him, but still, I'm not looking forward to that day. There's always something about your childhood driver. Lewis has been mine from when I was a small kid to now in my early 20s. But it's going to happen at one point. We can't get too emotional, though. We've got to try and work our way around the 7-time world champion and see if we can move ourselves up into the lead of the Mexico GP. Again, you never really get the sense that Hamilton is going to try and race me too hard, but he also is not just going to let me have the positions at this stage of the season. That was almost a very, very bad incident to have quite early on in the race there. That could have very easily been the front wing gone and us in for an incredibly early pit stop here in Mexico. But looks like with the DRS we have got a bit more speed than our teammate, which is reassuring. But yeah, as long as we don't do that at the final corner, still front locking. I'm really having to trail brake the car into the corners. Here we go. Lap 7, all over the back now of our teammate Lewis Hamilton, as those Red Bulls and Charles Leclerc are doing a good job keeping Valtteri Bottas at bay. No idea whether they'd rather the Finn or myself walks away with this World Championship. To the outside of Lewis Hamilton back into turn 1. Our teammate's going to run very, very deep through the corner. Oh, didn't know where he was quite going to re-emerge through turn 2. Careful. Do not want any contact early on in the GP. We are going to have the DRS off the corner, but look at the traction Hamilton's been able to get as we head down in towards turn 4. And once again, Lewis Hamilton trying to see if we can get a switch back on him, but nothing going there. Just got to be very, very careful. We don't let those other cars get back within range of the pair of us. Even closer to the gearbox of our teammate, though, at the final corner this time. So we'll try and get a run on him back down towards turn 1, almost already at 1/4 race distance as yellow flags out. Someone's got issues. Oh, I think it's George Russell. I did wonder then, there was a small part of me that wanted to believe. It's Hamilton again. It's just like got enough down at turn 1. Very much brake in front of us though through the corner, and yet George Russell is out of the Mexico GP. But this time around we got a much better run off of the corner there, up in towards turn 4 to the outside of Lewis Hamilton. This time around are we going to be able to pull off the move? Hamilton, whoa, hoi! I almost just took both of our cars out. That was scary. Somehow hung on to it. What is it with that corner? Again, it's scary moments on the F1 game, but now, yeah, Verstappen, Perez, Leclerc, Bottas, Zhou Guanyu have all been able to catch back up to us again. So we need to try and drag Hamilton away from that whole pack of cars. AlphaTauri then apparently having a nightmare this weekend. They've just seen their other car into the pit lane, so both AlphaTauris having to box before anyone else this weekend. They might be in for a quiet rest of the afternoon as Hamilton is inching away from Verstappen again, but I'm not going to sit around and carry our teammate along. We've got a very, very different race on our hands, and a lot more at stake if we don't get on with it. Team already talking about strategy though, but I feel like we might have to box a little bit early. These tyres, I wouldn't say have fallen off yet, but they're certainly getting there, and around Mexico, tyres that aren't comfortable are really just a nightmare to try and drag around this circuit, as we have now built up the gap over Hamilton behind, only just at a DRS range, but we still have to keep on pushing. Might box the end of 12 and just do 3 stints of 12 laps this afternoon, or maybe 1 lap of 13 on the mediums and then 11 at the end. Just have a look whether we have still got that new set of soft compound tyres in the bank, or whether we're already on them. Yeah, so we are. We did bolt on a fresh set for the Grand Prix. Steady on, track limits. So yeah, we'll probably box the end of 12, go mediums, and then go back to softs on about 25. That's the plan, as these tyres push up towards 50% wear. I've just noticed as well on the minimap, bless him, poor Lando Norris is going to have the quietest 36 laps of his life, I would have thought. He's not quick enough to keep up with the cars in front, because they're just a lot better, but he is so clear of his teammate and all the other cars behind, and Nicholas Latifi, that he's just, yeah, kind of confined to P9, and then take sort of whatever scraps he can have. Definitely feel like we're making the right call to box at the end of this lap. These tyres just starting to understeer more and more through that middle sector, and especially when we're still asking a lot from them. It can get quite uncomfortable quite quickly there, as you can just see front end pushing out a bit through the stadium, but into the pit lane we will come. Let's wait and see then. Nice and tidy on the way in. Make sure we don't risk anything stupid with penalties, and Hamilton therefore will retake the lead of the Grand Prix. I'm hoping we will come out just behind, well, I'd love to come out in front of Lando Norris, but I think it will just be behind him, but ahead of that whole gaggle of cars, as it is those little things that can make such a difference. I've set a fresh set of softs. Oh no. Right, well, we're going to have to try and take these then to about the end of lap 24, but then we're going to be on mediums to the end of the Grand Prix, and I want it to be super fast towards the end of this, so we're basically just going to have to keep on pushing. But that was a big blunder from myself. The stakes as high as they are at this point of the championship, any blunder like that, even if it just costs you a couple of seconds at the end of a Grand Prix, that can be the difference between race victory and just a podium, and we need every point we can get. Just keep pushing though. There's still a long way to go today, never mind in the bigger picture. There we go, new fastest lap of the day as we get closer and closer to Lando Norris. But of course at the moment we're going to be mighty fast for the next few laps. Then when the AI bolt on a fresh set of tyres, they're probably going to be quicker than me for a little bit. And we've got to remember we're still about 15 seconds back, because everyone's still got one more stop. Ooh, Lando Norris, big wobble through the middle sector, and you can just see the combination of slower car, slower tyres, everything like that. We do rock up to the back of the Alpine incredibly quickly. We just cannot take any risks when cars move around like that, but we can absolutely do the old Lando Norris. Clearly, mates, with Valtteri Bottas then defending that position like his life depends on it. Through the final corner we'll go. Still no one else into the pit lane, but I mean it's pretty pointless from Lando because we're just going to fly past him on the run back down towards turn 1. Or I hope we are anyway. You can have the inside, mate. We'll quite happily go here. Is Lando Norris going to try and defend this again in towards the first braking zone? Yes, he is. And we'll do that. And we'll swoop in through turn 2 round his outside. Lando Norris has been disposed of, but wasn't expecting that from our fellow Brit. But, I mean, he's completely within his right, but it's just doesn't help us. There we go, look at that as soon as we navigate Lando Norris, probably aided by the DRS. Another new fastest lap of the day. So we get closer and closer to half distance. The gap to Hamilton then, probably still around 15 seconds. So we've basically got an average being a second lap faster between now and the checkered flag. That'll be easy in some cases when we're on softer tyres, but yeah, difficult around other points of the Grand Prix. Hamilton into the pits then at the end of lap 17, so it won't be long before we re-inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. And yep, everyone else bolting on a set of hard tyres to see him to the checkered flag, so we should be a good few seconds ahead then of Lewis Hamilton. So it looks like Max Verstappen might have got the jump on him through the pit lane, but yeah, we're going to be about, what, 6-7 seconds ahead? Maybe slightly less than that. Whoa, big lock-up down in turn 1, and somehow still get the car rotated in. Yeah, about 7 seconds then, once they've got those tyres up to temperature. So that's the gap we still need to close up, though. There we go. Final 3 cars into the pits, so we are going to retake the lead of the Mexico GP. But like I said, hopefully, I mean, if they're all going to battle out, that would be quite handy for us. It looks like Valtteri Bottas struggling, though, to keep up even with Charles Leclerc in this Grand Prix. So, yeah, maybe McLaren really are starting to struggle towards the end of the year. We did see a similar thing at the end of last season. Of course, Charles Leclerc almost brought it back from the brink to make it 2-time Formula 1 World Champion. Couldn't quite manage it, though. Maybe McLaren are doing it again. But let's just hope we don't end up in the same situation as Charles Leclerc did last year. Seems a little bit early for us to be pitting him once again, Mark. But, yeah, about another 4 more laps or so before I was planning on coming in. It might end up only being 2 or 3. Still, we push on. Right, well, we are going to box then at the end of lap 23. Just confirm that with Mark. We are still inching away from Verstappen and Hamilton at this stage of the Grand Prix, but I have noticed both McLarens have fallen off the back of those Red Bulls and Charles Leclerc, as well as our teammates, so McLaren just don't seem to have an answer this weekend. And I'm trying to do the maths in my head. Even if Bottas were to outscore Zhou Guanyu, which he probably will, if he finished 6th and we still went on to win the Grand Prix with fastest lap, we'd still head to Brazil with a 21-point lead in the table. So Bottas is still doing enough right now, but he's certainly making his own life a bit more difficult. And in just a few moments' time then, we should know how much we've got to take out of these guys between now and the end of the GP. We should come out not far behind Daniel Ricciardo as well. One of the Alpha Tauri's going slowly. Yellow flags out. Make sure we get our car slowed down into the pit lane. A safety car now would be absolutely perfect for us late on in the afternoon, but I don't think we're going to get one, sadly. Let's just make sure we get the car slowed down nicely on the blocks. There goes Verstappen. There goes Hamilton. We bought on. Come on, let us go. We actually, yeah, we're going to be ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. We're not going to be far away from Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu here as we head out of the pit lane. But we've still just got to try and keep pushing on, of course. It's one thing getting past Bottas, but it's how many more places ahead of him we can get before the end of this GP. Is that Alpha Tauri? Apparently it's decided it's not going to break down anymore. Bit weird, but okay. Right, well, we're less than 5 seconds away then from Zhou Guanyu. Let's see what the gap is to Hamilton, who was just retaking the lead of the Grand Prix. Even better, thanks Mark, that was helpful. Never seen the engineer be so useful on F122, but 11 seconds into Hamilton. We've still got to average a second a lap between now and the checkered flag. There we go, another new fastest lap of the day. I reckon we're going a bit more than a second quicker than anyone else. Where is teammate status? There it is. 2 seconds that lap. We can do this.
They're in first. The time last lap was a 1 minute 18.5.
I would have thought Hamilton would be fairly consistent around those 18.5s to the end. So we just got to make sure we're setting 17.5s. even faster that time round. We have got to try and take more time out of them early on in the stint before the tyres go off, but yeah, these tyres should be fine to the checkered flag, of course. Still a little bit worried we might take grid penalties in the last couple of races, but Zhou Guanyu, less than 2 seconds away, we should be able to get him, hopefully next lap, but I'm sure McLaren will tell him to defend that position like his life depends on it, to give his team a hand, and I've used too much battery. Just got so much more grip and confidence on these medium tyres. Like I said, I hate the hard tyres around Mexico. I've never found them to work particularly well. You can see what I mean there. Zhou Guanyu kicking at the back end as he tries to put the power down out of the final corner. That McLaren has always been a missile down the straight, so still having to use battery just to really keep up with him as to the outside will go in towards that first corner. Are we going to be able to pull off a move? Zhou Guanyu will run way too deep, but he will defend for all his worth there. Parks the bus on the apex of turn 1. I was going to try and get a switchback on him, but it won't happen that time round. Can we do anything as we head up in towards turn 4? Oh, I'm trying to have a look at the inside. Maybe we can hook it up around the outside. Yes, we will. Oh, but again, Zhou Guanyu, he's going to try and pinch me. We have to bobble over the curbs, but again, we've just got more grip, more tyre life. Now, we're a position up. We had to make that move now. We cannot afford to get stuck behind him through this middle sector. You can just see immediately the gap to Bottas coming down. We've got so much more grip. 8 laps to go here from Mexico. These are championship-defining laps. Bottas struggling so much through this middle sector, but this is the most important move of the lot. We need to try and get past Valtteri. You can see again, he's panicking. He's using battery down this little DRS zone. So heading into the stadium section once again, nose to tail for the first time in actually a few Grand Prix with Valtteri. Haven't had many battles in recent weeks, but can we try and get a run on him out of the final corner? Unlike Zhou Guanyu. Oh wait, no, Zhou Guanyu didn't even have any DRS to defend himself, and neither will Bottas. As we head back down towards turn 1, we're still sitting mid-17s. As Valtteri Bottas going to pin us to the grass on the inside, but it's a futile attempt from our big championship rival as we'll get the car slowed down, and P5 is now ours. Here we're at Mexico. Charles Leclerc less than 2 seconds up the road. 7 laps to go. We've still got to try and navigate 4 more cars. All over the back now of Charles Leclerc. Oh, Charlie boy getting very, very loose and lively through the middle sector as that Ferrari car being pushed to its limits and maybe just slightly beyond, and again we're just going to get stuck on another car as we head down through this final sector of the lap. Let's try and find a way around him somewhere. Come on, Charles Leclerc. We'll try and work our way past the Ferrari. Of course, it's the first season F1 22. I think he is mathematically out of the championship already before we get to the finale in Abu Dhabi. Only driver, of course, to do so because he dominated season 1 in spectacular fashion. But can we try and make a move on the one-time Ferrari champion back down towards turn 1? Up the inside will go last minute, and there we go, P4 now ours here in Mexico. I was just thinking, definitely seems like Cota was the one-off kind of how Red Bull did at Spa earlier on in real life this year. Everyone kind of expected them to dominate after that. We got yellow flags out. Don't say that's Lewis Hamilton. No, it's Verstappen again. Max Verstappen out of the Mexico GP, and P3 is therefore going to be ours. That's mean one less overtake we have to deal with late on, but sadly, it also means Bottas will get a couple of extra points as well, so that doesn't help us, particularly in the big picture. It does mean Hamilton is going to be under less pressure unless I can get to him by the end, as you can just see how much curb we're able to attack. It does also mean whether we make this move on Perez or not, he should be on the podium today, as down around the outside will go. And then we'll do a cheeky switchback like we've done many, many times before today. Sergio Perez does not want this battle. He will quite happily walk away with a podium here, but poor Max Verstappen out of the Mexico GP with less than 4 laps to go. We have got to try and close up Hamilton though by the end. If this was real life F1, the team would probably just be telling him to back off, let us through. But you don't quite get team orders like that in this. We can't do anything like that. As we head back down towards turn 1. Whoa! I completely forgot about Sergio Perez. I was so busy looking at random bits and pieces. Sorry, Charles Leclerc as well. Oh, way HUD. Wish there was a way just to make it disappear. But now, suddenly, we've got a lot more work to do. Don't get too distracted looking through all the radio messages, Matt. We've still got a race to try and win here in Mexico, as that mistake might just cost us. Late on in the day, 3 laps to go. As we get the run on Checo Perez back down towards turn 1 once again. Oh, I tried to have a look to the inside there. I don't think Sergio Perez was trying to give me the room, but he has. Good, clean racing by myself and Sergio Perez there, as we will once again reclaim P2 in this Grand Prix. Also means for Red Bull, in the bigger picture of the Constructors' Championship, they are really going to be struggling in towards these final few Grand Prix. But Bottas 5th, 3 seconds still to gap to Lewis Hamilton. This will come down to the final lap, if we can even get there. Well, these medium tyres definitely not providing the same sort of grip they were just a little while ago, but with the DRS, of course, another new fastest lap of the day, we have to be within range of Hamilton. Back into this DRS zone on the final lap. 7 more tenths is what we need, and even then, there's no guarantee that we'll pull off a move. Medium tyres really do hang on quite nicely late on in the day. This is a big moment between myself and Lewis Hamilton. Of course, just 2 more Grand Prix after this for Hamilton in what has been one of the most successful and decorated Formula 1 series of all time. 7 World Championships. Of course, over 100 pole positions and wins. I can't quite remember how many he's had in this mighty career mode to add to his already impressive tally. There hasn't been too many in the last 3 years. Open up the DRS though, final lap here in Mexico. We are gaining on Lewis Hamilton, but I don't think we'll be close enough. Back down towards turn 1 here. This is going to be a last lap shootout between myself and our teammate. We have not had the dominant car we had last weekend. We've certainly still had the fastest car, but tyre strategy, DRS trains have really come into it. It's Hamilton trying to use the last of his remaining battery pack as well, so we can't quite get anywhere up the inside at turn 4. We're going to have to try and rely on the extra grip that these medium tyres are providing us, and you can see we are all over him as we head through this middle sector. Like I said, if this was real life, the team will be screaming on the radio, Hamilton, let him by for the championship. But at the moment, Hamilton is just trying to defend with everything he's got there. Those hard tyres really are starting to struggle. We'll try and use the DRS, but Hamilton has got a bit of battery as well as we head down in towards the final few corners. We can't do anything there. Are we going to be able to get a run into the stadium section? Up the inside, contact. Oh, lots of contact between myself and Lewis Hamilton there. He'll park the bus on the exit of the corner. We'll get way too leery on the curbs, and Hamilton will take a controversial race victory here in Mexico, but Lewis is back on top.
Thank you for all your hard work out there. That was a strong drive and a great finish. Well done.
The thin air makes this event a brutal one for these Formula 1 cars, but this team have done a fantastic job to make it to the checkered flag and take a well-earned victory today. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1. Let's have a quick look at how the driver standings have changed. Despite the best efforts of our championship leader, that lead has taken a bit of a knock today. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Nicholas Latifi gets my vote today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. No change in the top spot then, but with today's points, their hold on that lead is getting weaker. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula 1.
Well, there we go then. A very, very controversial end to the Mexico GP. And if we lose this World Championship by 6 points or less, I know where we're going to be looking. But Lewis Hamilton, fair play to him. You know, we let the boys race. And he will come away with the victory there. Half a second away at the end of that one. And it was just that mistake late on in the day trying to focus on Sergio Perez that cost us the race victory here. The Mexican will join us on the podium ahead of Charles Leclerc, Bottas, Zhou Guanyu 5th and 6th, ahead of Ricciardo, Norris, Latifi getting driver of the day. It's always a worrying world when that happens. Pierre Gasly picking up another point for Williams' troubles as well there. Further down the roster though, only Max Verstappen and George Russell not making it to the checkered flag this weekend means championship-wise, the gap is still 30 at the top of the table. So Valtteri Bottas could leave Brazil next weekend as world champion. It is only the two of us now that can walk away with the crown. For Sergio Perez is mathematically out of it, and Max Verstappen already 31 back from his teammate as we head into the final couple of races. It's been such a disappointing downfall for the Dutchman late on in the season, just like we've seen before in F1 22 there. Hamilton now jumps Lando Norris and Théo Pourchaire up into 9th place overall, so definitely was a worthwhile investment getting our fellow Brit in for the second half of the year. I know some of you aren't happy that I let Théo Pourchaire go, but maybe, just maybe, he might make a return in the future. Constructors-wise, though, we do take good points out of both Red Bull and McLaren. That battle will not be over, I don't think, until the championship finale in Abu Dhabi in just a couple of races' time. You know, 51 points is a mountain to climb for us, but if we keep going the way we are, that's not impossible late on in the game. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will return very, very soon with a penultimate race of our F1 22 career mode. We head down to Sao Paulo next time out for the Brazilian GP. You guys do not want to miss. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.